Okay, you wonderful marketing savvy copywriter. So today I'm going to show you the best possible way to write winning ad creatives. And from my experience of writing over 1,000 ads in the last 2 years for hundreds of online businesses, especially working with companies like Cole Gordon, Steve Larson, all the big dogs in the industry. Now, what I want you to fully understand is on my handy dandy iPad over here, we're going to talk about how the actual ad flow works. Now, I'm going to pretend like you kind of know a little bit about writing copy, writing ads, and whatnot. So I'm going to use a little bit of some easier language. Okay. So ads are basically broken down into hook, and then it goes body, okay, and then it goes call to action, right? Excuse this handwriting. So after reviewing and writing over 1,000 ads, I've obviously realized that the hook is the most important thing, and just by changing that one variable could drastically change the way that your ad performs, whether it performs really good, whether it performs horribly bad. So the hook is basically there to catch the person at the right time based on their level of awareness. Eugene Schwartz talks about this all the time inside of his book, Breakthrough Breakthrough Advertising. This book, you can probably get it for a couple $100. They don't really print them anymore. This is the best book you should ever read on copywriting direct response. So when it comes to the hook, it's very based on their level of awareness. So level of awareness basically sits on a spectrum. Okay. So unaware to most aware. And based on where the customer is, right here, right here, right here, right, you would do like problem aware. So problem aware, for example, you would have like solution aware, will determine what type of hook you would have. Okay, so the most aware audience would have more of a direct hook. Okay, the least aware would have an indirect hook. That's pretty much the kind of style that you want to be looking at it, right? So if you have, say, like a B2B offer, business to business, it's way easier to do a direct offer, something like we'll help you achieve XYZ result in under time frame. So we'll help you, secure an extra 50 clients in the next 90 days, right? That's a direct offer. It's way easier to do that for a B2B audience because there's a direct outcome. But the challenge becomes and also because they're more aware, right? The challenge becomes when you have to go to the other side, right, from solution to just problem aware, because now you have to go towards more of a like an indirect angle. Now, the indirect is can go so many ways. There's like, stories, there's like curiosity angles, there's different types of leads that you can do, and what you do for that is based on, again, their level of awareness. Everything pretty much sits on this graph, right? It's like this is pretty much like everything that goes on inside of my head as a copywriter and as a marketer. So let's move this down. Okay, so now let's actually talk about writing good hooks. The most important thing now, if you're running ads on Facebook, Facebook's algorithm at this time right now is based on AI. So whatever you say inside of your copy is what it's going to use to send it to the right person. Okay. What you want to do is call out the right person inside of your copy within the first like 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, so that the algorithm could adapt to that and then you get their attention. So, for example, if you're working with government contractors, you want to call them out within, like the first word, if anything, right? If you're a government contractor, government contractors, if you're struggling to secure more business contracts or government contracts, X, Y, and Z, because that's the person that you want to be working with, and it automatically disqualifies who to like not listen or watch your ad. Okay. So first you call out the right person, and then you want to basically explain the result that you're going to guarantee them or you're going to give them. So for example, like government contractors, if you're struggling to secure more government contracts, then it's probably because you're not, FAR compliant in your accounting system. That's more of like an indirect, and then we go into like a direct angle right there. If you're going to like an online business, for example, you would say something like, coaches and agencies will help you, I don't want to use one that's like already working, but for example, Cole Gordon's angle is uh, coaches and agencies will place a proven appointments that are inside of your business, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Right? It's a really good direct one right there, and then you just kind of get into pretty much how it works. So with a business as the client, the clientele, the type of lead that you're going for, direct is going to work a lot better, especially if they're more down the awareness journey. Um, but if it's more so of a B2C angle, you're going to want to lean more towards the indirect. Okay. B2C would be something like if they deal with heart conditions or if they're looking for a cardiologist, right? You would lead with more so of the pains that they're feeling. So, for example, you know, when was the last time you felt that you can get up in the morning, go straight to the gym, complete a full workout, and not feel exhausted after, right? So you're kind of leading with a story, and you're leading with the emotions that are pretty much happening there. And the reason that works so well is because they're just in different mindsets, right? The customer, the B2C, the consumer is in a way different buying mindset than the business owner is. The business owner is always looking to invest into the growth, right, of their business and their sales, right? But the B2C, like the consumer, is more so there to look for problems or look for solutions to the problems that they're already experiencing. So that's why it's very very different the way you talk to them. Now, once you have the hook, the body is there to explain how something works. Now, you want to be very careful with this. The biggest mistake I see people make is that when they explain how, they get very feature oriented, saying, "Oh, we're going to help you do this, and then we're going to help you do this." But it's like the customer doesn't really care about how it's done, but they care more so about like why it works so well because they're gonna get turned off by all the technical, and it's just gonna create a lot of sales objections when you break down how it works, right? So what I like to say is, you know, give me 60 seconds and I'll not only explain why this works so well, but how we've been able to help, 10,000 others do the same as well, right? So you're already setting up the frame that I'm not only going to show you, yes, why I work so well, but how we've been able to help others do the same. Okay. So you'll explain like, okay, step one, we do this and here's the result. Step two, we do this and here's the result. And then the last part is the call to action. Now, when it comes to writing really good call to actions, you have to be extremely clear about what you want the person to do and then what they could expect after they do that. So what I tell them is I keep it very simple. I pretty much use the same call to action for all of my ads. And I say, hey, look, if you're interested, now I'll put a couple case studies, but I'll say if you're interested in learning more, then here's what to do next. Okay. Whether it's just a straight application, whether it's a VSL, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it, join a group, you tell them step one, click on this ad. Step two, fill out the short application on the next page, or watch the short video on the next page, right? And then step three, book a call with my team, right? So step one, step two, step three, very simple. And then you're going to say, if it's a book a call angle, for example, we'll break down everything from A to Z on how it works, or yeah, pretty much how it works and why it works so well. On the sales calls, when you can explain pretty much how it works, because you can break any sales objections that happen there. So we'll explain how it works, why it works so well, and if it makes sense for you. Okay, so you're basically giving them an agenda of what's going to happen. And then you would just say, you just repeat it, right? So click this ad, fill out the short application, and book a call with us now. So the reason why all of this stuff works so well is because you're explaining everything up front to them, right? And you're leading with what they need to hear in order to buy. I always like to ask myself the question of like, what does the customer need to hear in order to buy? And it may not be what they actually need at the time, but more so what they want. Okay, and you have to be able to position it in the proper way. And it comes from a lot of experience and a lot of testing. Testing, I'll make a whole nother video about that. But that's pretty much how you want to write successful ads. I know it's not that in depth, but you also don't need it to be in depth. You just need to understand the level of awareness of the customer, where they are on that like spectrum, and then pretty much design the hook around that. And then the rest of the body and the call to action can pretty much be the same and could be tweaked over time. But you definitely want to focus majority of your time and efforts onto the actual hook. They say that 80 cents out of your dollar spent on advertising is on the hook. It's the most important one, right? You want to spend most of your time. And after learning from Cole Gordon, I've watched over like 300 to 400 videos of him reviewing ads and writing copy and offers and all that stuff. The most amount of time he has spent on the copy was the hook, and that's why it's so important. So yeah, that's basically it. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment, let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one. Probably I'll also record on how to scale ads and how to like look at different KPIs and all that stuff. So catch you in the next one.